We are at Aydon Castle,
We are.
just outside Corbridge, for today's adventure. We are the only car parked in the disabled parking as well. Right here, right next to the gatehouse. Everybody else has to park all the way over there. And this is another
English heritage site.
Cause the fog on the Tyne is all mine, all mine. The fog on the Tyne is all mine. The fog on the Tyne is all mine, all mine. The fog on the Tyne is all mine.
Through the gateway we go.
There's nobody here. So Aydon Castle, is it?
Yeah, it's Aydon Castle. It's 1 mile outside of Corbridge. It's an unaltered 13th century, what they classed as a manor house, but obviously they call it a castle because it's bigger than a manor house. And it was fortified by the Scots who tried to burn it down.
Get us when I come out. So this is what Aydon Castle looks like from the sky. And here's a little model. So where are we? We are here, roughly. We came in through here. There's the little visitor centre just here. That you can see, they would have had things to shoot flaming things and some turrets. Little garden, but all walled in. Quite a big house, really.
There was originally a moat.
Pile of poo and a moat. How interesting.
I have a passion for old fireplaces. I really, really like that.
And that's a really old one.
That is a really old one, but it's lovely. Can you imagine? Is it a cast iron?
I don't know, but we're below floor level. What would have been floor level?
Nooks and crannies, Sean. Nooks and... Ooh, what's through the window?
A tree!
I can't see for the trees. Oh, games for the children. Oh, another fireplace. I bet you that's where... Do you think this was the kitchen?
This was the chamber. So within the original Aydon Hall, the only ground floor doorway into the chamber block was probably where the door to the courtyard now stands.
Okay.
The lintel bears the date 1653 and the initials of the members of the Collinson family who then owned the castle.
Collinson, did you say?
And then further doors were created after that point.
Ah.
Collinson.
Collinson.
It looks like this must have been lived in until relatively recently in history.
Possibly.
So this is the chamber. Cook and fireplace. So we can see the latrine, the toilet, which is, I believe, would be through here. Yes, this would be the latrine where you do all of your dirty business. Is it still down there? Oh, pooey, it smells. Let's head upstairs. Oh, very high. Well, Caroline would like this fireplace, even though it's not there anymore. Let's have a look out into the courtyard. We'll pop down to the gardens. Just pop back outside to get some cool air. You walk in upstairs. Got a room to the right. This was the kitchen. So everything downstairs was interesting. So the house was higher up. So this was the kitchen. With the big. That's where you do all the cooking at the back. And this area that I'm standing in right here would have been the pantry with the actual kitchen up there. It would have been made around 1305. And then if you slip out the back here, you can walk along the top. Which then lets you look out over the walls there. So over there that would have been a little sentry turret point, although it was not a fortified house. And that's where I was just standing a minute ago. And we head back in. And then this would have been the main hall. The first floor hall. So you'd sit there, maybe have your dining table here. But this was the communal living room within the manor. You'd have your decorations, and you can see that there would have been a floor further up as well. And we'll go through to the other side. What would this have been? But how did people build castles? They were built a very long time ago. I don't know what room this was, but another fireplace. Let's have a look. Just part of the whole area. Okay.
Oh, I used to think there was another part attached to it at some point.
Yes. What you mean? Because you can see these things. That's where the joists for the inner floors would have stuck out from.
No. If you look at that gable end there.
What there?
Yeah, where there's like a...
Maybe another building attached to the side. Maybe.
Else while you've been going around and having a check of the orchard where you can have a picnic. So it was 1315, around the time of the Anglo-Scottish Warfare. The Scots, like I said, burnt it down. 2 years later, the English took it back. Then in 1346, the Scots took it back. Then in the early 17th century, it was taken over as a farmhouse. And it was occupied until 1966. That's why there is some things that look
quite recent.
Recent, yeah.
That's going to do it for Aydon Castle Hall.
Well, it's classed as Aydon Castle, but really it's a hall.
Yeah, that was short and sweet. Not a whole lot to see here, but enough to have a quick visit. We're now going to try and see if we can get some food from somewhere.
Yeah.
A bit hungry. Should we head into Corbridge?
Yeah, let's head into Corbridge. Corbridge, Roman town.
We've made it over to Corbridge, Roman town. It's actually the next day because it wasn't open, or it was closing rather, when we came over last night. So this footage is filmed the next day, and then we'll jump back to yesterday in a second. So we're starting off in the museum, You can peek through the window of the old Roman town. We're starting off in the museum. This is what was found, and this is what it would have looked like for the Roman lorica segmentata. It's the best preserved from anywhere in the Roman world, which is quite interesting. We're getting a lot of best preserved stuff here in the northeast. Yes, babe?
I was about to say we're going to start off in AD 43, so Anno Domini 43.
So there's lots of things from Gaul and Germany, which is all of this stuff where it would have come from. Let's work our way through the museum. Corbridge is quite interesting because it had a military presence and lots of local people and settlements as well. And normally what happened when a Roman fort became abandoned, the settlements would disappear as well. But with this one, you can see there all of Corbridge and the River Tyne. And there was also lots of main roads around here as well. Settlement actually survived the dismantling of the fort, and it was also unusual in the fact that it had two different parts of the army settled within the fort as well. Corbridge Roman Fort is a pretty big fort. I'm going to look around all these different pieces in a second to see what they all were, but it was the most northerly part of the Roman Empire. And you can see in the distance there, modern Corbridge. We're going to have a look at that tower shortly. I stand a little bit corrected, this was the Roman town rather than the fort. So this here was the high street. This was the main road, so we're actually standing on the road level, I think about the 4th century AD, and then you can see it gets lower and lower, and that's as it gets older. This high street was one of the main roads, along with the road also to Carlisle. Oh, it's a little bit rocky to get the wheelchair on. And it was rerouted to make a high street by the residents of Corbridge, so that all the shopkeepers have shops down the side, down both sides, and they'd all wrestle for wares. It's quite a wide street as well, so there'd be market stalls, shops down the sides, and all the most important buildings as well. So I've walked a little bit down the high street. These two buildings here, as you might see, you can see more of them. These would have been two large granaries and an elaborate fountain. You can see part of the buildings here. It would have been quite ornate, possibly looking a little bit like that, with the fountain just here. And this is down the high street. I can't get Caroline down here, so she can't come with me because the road is quite uneven. But I'm going to take her around on the grass. We'll get to these areas here. But yeah, this is quite impressive. I can just imagine the town bustling and loud and noisy and lots going on. So we'll walk to the south of the site. This is the fence here to mark their boundary. But you can see it's just this section here. That's the fence there, and then there would have been lots more houses and other buildings out into this countryside, which by the way is beautiful today. This sunshine is fantastic. It is lovely and warm.
It is.
We can get a good view of the site looking backwards. But there would have been a lot of streets and lots of buildings built after the army abandoned Corbridge. So they just started adapting the buildings that were left from the Roman fort into other useful things like houses and shops and workshops and all kinds of things like that. But there's lots more to excavate out here, and archaeologists do come along a little bit. And the sign of Corbridge was the Corbridge lion. So this area of the settlement here was one of the most sacred buildings it was the headquarters of the 2nd Legion Augusta, and there was a sacred shrine in here as well. I think we can walk in to little bits of it. We can actually get what is currently ground level. We can go below ground level, although I'm not going to walk down there because knowing me, I'll probably fall. And there's what would have been possibly lower floors. And if we look down this way from the opposite side of the headquarters, these would have all been the barracks originally before they were reused by the settlement. This would have been where all of the barracks were, and the reason why the land goes up and down a lot is just because of the age, because buildings and roads were built, they fell down, new ones were built on top, and it just kept rising and falling that way as old buildings went in and new buildings were erected.
Oh, the butterflies! There's so many butterflies, look at them. Can you see the butterflies or not? They're going that fast. Lots of butterflies. I spy sheep in the distance. Bah! Whoa! Whoa! You nearly went over with us there.
I didn't.
Sean, I was on 2 wheels.
You weren't. I had a hold of you.
Well, I can tell you right now, it did not feel like I was kept hold of. I want some sheep in the vlog.
I've made it to the other end of the excavated high street, although it would have continued further that way and behind me. And then the civilian settlement here on the right, which is less excavated. So the reason why lots of these buildings are not excavated as much on this side, the civilian buildings, as the original Roman buildings and headquarters and more elaborate buildings on this side. So all of these buildings would have been quite simple, of simple construction. They would have had at the front here, this would have been the living quarters, so quite a small area, and then behind there would have been the workshop where they'd make pottery or things like that. But what's interesting is this is the outer limit of Corbridge Roman Town site, an English heritage site, but out in these fields you can see where the buildings and the land's just fallen away, as you can see from looking at these, because you can see it goes curvy like that and just dips into the ground. It's where it's all fallen in on top of itself. But out here this road continued, and the road continued into Corbridge, modern town, that you can see there, and there are still lots of old buildings. If you look from an aerial perspective, you can see temples and more ornate buildings and lots more going on out there, but at the moment it's not excavated. Maybe one day.
And Sean, there's loads of lovely houses on the hills.
There is. If we look outside the site, there's a nice house.
And there's one in the distance which is even bigger.
But look at these, the scenery up here, and the landscape, and the countryside. It's just fantastic. And there's a train in the distance. That train's heading over to Carlisle. And also there's one of the main roads beside it as well. And all the way in the distance down there, you get to Newcastle and the coast.
Sean, that's a steep hill to go down. Are you going down it for more exercise?
No. So that's Corbridge Roman Town. We're going to hand back to yesterday and continue in Corbridge modern day town.
Just Corbridge.
Just Corbridge. We've made it to the historic town of Corbridge.
We have.
There's a lot of history here, and it's very, very pretty.
It is very pretty. Very, very quaint, very pretty.
Yeah. Hard to get the car around. The car's too big for the streets and for the alleyways, but anyway, we found somewhere to park. We're going to go to the Black Bull, I think, for some food, if they're still serving.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, this is part of the Roman Vicar's Pelly. It was built around 1300 AD for a vicar of Corbridge, and it was fortified as a vicarage when the churches had money, although I still think they do. But Corbridge, read that sign, just see how much has happened here. Stormy events. The King of Northumbria was slain. King Reginald the Dane defeated the English and Scots. Scotland occupied the town. King John did. So much has happened. And it was also the original Tyne Bridge, or one of the original Tyne bridges, and the only one that survived the big flood.
Of 1774.
But I'm hungry, so let's go and see if we can get some food.
Are you Hank Marvin? Starving?
Yeah.
Love of the North. Hello. Oh, actually, Sean, the sun's out. It's coming very warm.
But first, you got to go in when it says regional winner for the best British bakeries. Got to go in there for some cakes, haven't you?
The macarons. For cake.
I'll get something in a second.
Just give me a shout, please.
Okay.
There's more along here.
You'll find
You need to
it.
hide some.
You have to stand in front of it.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
There's too many to choose from.
Let's buy cheesecake. Where
One for a
Sean?
brownie, not a cheesecake.
You're going for a brownie, not a cheesecake. Good size of the cake. Found myself another old fireplace.
Alright. I'm looking at the specials menu,
Oh yeah, what are you having?
and I fancy some potatoes. What are potatoes?
Potatoes.
Potatoes.
Important, I think.
We're in the Black Bull, which is a Green King pub.
But I'm going to tell you right
And
now.
it looks quite funky.
Okay, I'm going to tell you right now.
Started off with a couple of drinks because I'm driving alcohol-free Copperberg for me. Cider, which is not really cider if it's alcohol-free. And Caroline's got a signature gin, which is Bombay Estate. Let's have a look at the menu. There's lots of gins in this one. But it's this one. Bombay Estate gin served with Schweppes salty lemon tonic and a fresh slice.
Whatever you chose for us.
Is it any good?
Seems fine, yeah. I thought.
Does it taste salty? The barman said it kind of tastes like seawater.
The thing is, I can't taste properly, as you know, so I really struggle to be able to confirm that. It doesn't smell like seawater.
But it's nice.
For what I can. It's refreshing.
So would you believe this? I haven't went for sausage and mash. I went for 2 fillets of sea bass, 2 scallops, on a prawn and pea premium risotto. So we'll try that. Caroline's went for halloumi fries along with actual fries.
Skin on fries, yeah, with reds.
She wants pepper. Just had our dinner at the Black Bull and I did not really eat mine. I was not impressed with that at all. Caroline's was alright though.
Mine was alright. The only thing about mine was the chilies and the spring onions were a bit old and dry, I think. And the rosemary skin on fries.
I knew we should have went for fish and chips, Caroline. We should have went for fish and chips in Corbridge. But this is...
Well done though. Interesting fact about where we've just eaten.
It's very old.
It's a very old build. It was from a very, very old building, 1755, and then Sean was explaining to me that part of the building was a house. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And the other part was the bar, and then they expanded it and made it into the restaurant.
They did. But my knee's hurting on this cobbled street now, so Corbridge, lovely little village, especially that bakery. I'm going to try that pasty when I get home because I didn't eat my dinner. But we'll have to come back for fish and chips. It's been a nice little afternoon out.
It has.
But let's head home and see King Dave and Holly.
I thought we were heading somewhere else.
Yeah, look, the vlog's done. Keep making memories.
Catch you later.
The fog on the Tyne is all mine.